Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our very first Friday morning with Amazing Thailand. Thank you so much, everyone, for logging in. Our topic today is the latest updates on Thailand and how Thailand is coping with the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Sherly Handjojo. I am Tourism Authority of Thailand Marketing Manager. I'll be hosting this webinar today and for the following weeks. So to begin the webinar today, I would like to share with you our very exciting new online training platform that we've developed for travel agents. It's called Amazing Thailand Specialist. I'm very sure that most of you have seen it being advertised in many trade media already. If you have not registered yet, please do so. There are so many things that you can learn from the current situation in Thailand, unique selling points of each region of the kingdom, as well as recommending the right itinerary based on your client's needs. And also many exciting prizes, of course, to be won, from Coles gift vouchers to bed and breakfast package for when you can travel to Thailand again. So once again, please log in to amazingthailandspecialist.com. And a little bit of housekeeping to get us started. The webinar is recorded and it will be posted later on the Amazing Thailand Specialist website. There is a Q&A opportunity at the end of the presentation. Feel free to type in your questions at any time during this webinar using the Q&A button underneath. And first of all, we will go through the presentation and then we'll try to get through as many questions as we can later on. So we know that everyone has busy schedule. We are trying to keep the session under 40 minutes. Please stay tuned because at the end of the presentation, there's also going to be a quiz, which you can win some of our fantastic prizes. They are three $50 Coles gift card. So without further ado, today we are very privileged to have two honorary guests with me. First one is Her Excellency Busadee Santipitaks. She is the Ambassador Designate of Thailand to the Commonwealth of Australia. And prior to this appointment, she served as Director General for the Department of Information, as well as spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the Kingdom of Thailand. Good morning, Sawadika, Your Excellency. And Kun Suladda Sarutilavan is Director of Tourism Authority of Thailand, Oceania. Her 20 years of career with TAT includes serving as TAT Deputy Director in Mumbai office, India, as well as Director of TAT Pattaya prior to coming to Australia. Good morning, Kun Suladda.
Sawadika.
So, a very good morning to you, Your Excellency, and welcome. How are you today?
Very good, thank you, Sawadika, and good morning to all, and thank you very much for having me with you on this webinar.
Of course. So I heard that you have only stayed in Australia for a couple of months, I believe since the beginning of February. Hope you are enjoying it in Canberra despite the pandemic and a few lockdowns that we had. As the world is now experiencing global pandemic, how does Thailand cope with COVID-19?
Well, we have been very lucky so far, and we have been coping well, but we are still being vigilant. As you know, when the pandemic started in January of this year, Thailand was the first country outside of China detected with the first case of COVID-19. And since then, we've been working very hard, tirelessly to control the situation, and we are now considered as a low-risk country. And because 7 months now, and I think we can say that we have been quite successful, but we remain vigilant. And the success is, I think, it's manifold. Also, because we have a very good leadership under His Excellency General Prayut Chan-o-cha, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Thailand. In March 2020, he directed and set up an interagency special task force comprising of various agencies and governments, both public and private sectors, to work together under the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration. And this is, we are able to do this because of the emergency decree, which is by in nature allows the effective coordination and implementation of policies across the board of all the agencies, overcoming, the legal impediments or practical implementation to ensure that the successful health measures are in place. And that's the number one priority, is to ensure the safety of our peoples and those foreign nationals who were in the country since January at that time. And I think this, together with the balance of the travel restrictions, economic measures, and the sound advice of the health experts, have made us become very successful in coping with the situation. And building on past experiences, when we experience whether it be SARS or MERS, we have learned in that process that there are systems in place, whether it be continuing the travel restrictions, the airport screening authorities, all those personnel involved need to be well trained. And more importantly, and I think most importantly, the health professionals across the country that have been helping us towards this success.
Nice. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good morning to you, Kun Suladda. Would you please share with us what kind of health and safety measures are taken place to contain the COVID-19 virus?
All right. Thank you very much, Shirley. I do hope that you all stay safe and healthy during this time. Regarding the health and safety measures, Thailand has launched a nationwide certification scheme in order to enhance tourism health and hygiene standard since May this year. And this is called the Amazing Thailand Safety and Health Administration, or SHA in short. And this project was developed under the collaborations between the Tourism Authority of Thailand, Ministry of Public Health, Ministry of Tourism and Sports, and several Thai tourism bodies and associations. The strict guidelines were formed for 10 types of business related to hospitality and service sectors, as you can see from the slide. Starting from the first one, restaurants and diners. Next is hotels, accommodations, and meeting places. Then we have tourist attractions, transportation, travel agencies, health and beauty, department stores and shopping center, sport for tourism, activities, events and entertainment venues, and last one is souvenir shops and retail outlets. And I'd like to show you, this is the SHA certification logo, which will appear at the venues reaching health and hygiene standard. And at the moment, there are more than 4,415 establishments certified with SHA standard. But however, the SHA standard does not confirm that the venue is COVID-free, but rather it confirms that that particular venues or services reach hygiene and health standard in order to help prevent the outbreak of the disease, if any.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kun Suladda. Your Excellency, the number of new cases we see in Thailand has been in single digit, actually very close to nil for several months now. What do you think played the biggest role in the success of Thailand's flattening the curve?
I think for Thailand, like many other countries in the world, we are all working together in this joint effort to ensure that there is a prevention of a second wave in Thailand. As I mentioned, we are vigilant, and so far we have been quite lucky in that in the past 80 days in Thailand, we have had 0 local transmission cases. We have a small number of active cases, and most of those, around active cases, 132 are now in the hospital, but a small number of that, mostly import cases. We have had 58 deaths, and luckily none, not an increasing number since then. And of course, we are, convey our condolences to those families. And so far, since the beginning of the outbreak, we have had total cases of 3,359 cases. So I think that says much about how we are handling this situation. But of course, as I mentioned, we must continue to remain vigilant, follow the health protocols and standards and the hygiene standards. So what the TAT is doing with all the agencies in giving out the SHA logo and recognition, I think it encourages us and inspire us to work together to maintain that high standard, but at the same time protecting ourselves, the consumers, and those who are in our country. And several factors that contribute, while, as I mentioned, remaining, being vigilant and heeding the advice of the health experts in the country. Communication is very important, effective communication across the board from various agencies, the government, and all those in the industry, particularly when it comes to tourism, travel, and hospitality industry. I think this is very important for us all. Secondly, community and care. I think this is also very important, and a large part, this is due to the success of a very important network, which is called the Village Health Volunteers in Thailand. And because of their help, they are basically a group of volunteers, mostly women, and they play a very important role as an important mechanism in Thailand's robust primary healthcare system. They, what do? They provide the community services in terms of advice. They have been trained with basic medical training. They check on local households and villages and the communities in the suburbs. As you know, the rural villages, some may be located very far away from the health centers that provide, health experts, or being accessible to those advice. So this group of personnel, the village health volunteers, they would go to the villages, give out the advice to educating people, instructing them with proper knowledge of hygiene care, washing their hands, putting on their face masks, encouraging social distancing, these type of, simple activities, but it needs to be something that we have to be able to practice automatically in our daily lives. So this project, which we are very proud of, because it's coming from the communities and the volunteers, even the World Health Organization, the WHO, has already praised them as unsung heroes for their role in controlling the COVID-19 spread in Thailand. Another successful factor is culture. Culture, because we have our own traditional way of the Thai greeting, which is the Y or Sawadee or Khop Kun gesture, which many of you are so familiar with. And Thai people are very resilient and cooperative. So, with this practice, and we're very glad that this Y gesture, because it's very hygiene in the sense that it does not require any physical contact. And I think it has been adopted quite internationally as a universal greeting way with other nations in controlling this pandemic. And another very important, as you can see from your slides, using and putting on protection, very simple facial mask. You can buy them, you can make them at home. There are different DIYs that introduce people to do it with simple cloth and fabric. And I think this is the most common way of how we go about our daily lives in ensuring protecting ourselves and the people around us.
Thank you so much for your insightful comments there, Your Excellency. Do you see that Thailand is very close to a business as usual state at this point? And what do you see happening in the next 3 months?
Well, as I mentioned, with many other countries in the world, we're looking towards efforts in the economic recovery process, business engagement activities. Of course, many of them entail traveling. But of course, business as usual requires step-by-step approach. And I think this is what the government and the relevant authorities are engaging in, ensuring that there is a clear implementation plan. Business as usual, the daily lives of the people around the country. We see now shopping centers, tourist attractions are operating full-time, but the most important thing is that they must have COVID-safe plans everywhere, whether they're big or small establishment, entertaining centers or complexes, with very simple checking in with application when the people go in and out of department stores, in travel destinations, temperature checking, social distancing, 1.5 meters apart, sanitization of premises. So we must recognize the role of these people, cleaning people, security guards, and of course, check-in applications are very important at this stage. Domestic air routes have just adjusted their timetables, resuming operations in the country, complying with health standards and social safety measures. The results are quite good, and so it's beginning to open up in terms of engaging. But then again, this is a new normal situation that we are in. For people in Thailand, domestic travel is just beginning to happen. In July, the government announced extra holidays to make up for the holidays that were lost. But this allows us with long weekends to enable the Thais to spend their time with their families and friends in limited amount of numbers, and they're able to commute and travel in the country, whether it be in Pattaya, in Hua Hin, in Chiang Mai. And I think this mentally is a great boost for the health recovery for the people in Thailand who've been locked down and with travel restrictions have been imposed on. So I think this is a good sign. And yesterday, the cabinet has announced additional holidays in September. They will have a long weekend from the 4th to the 7th of September. I think this is something which will allow the people in Thailand to travel more, and of course being able to enjoy and appreciate the domestic tourism, the richness of culture, and being able to be together again while remain vigilant and respecting the health standards and hygiene care. And of course, another group that we have started to open up to is, in the past few months, a main preoccupation for the Thai embassies and agencies worldwide. It's repatriation of Thai nationals within the restrictions provided by the Thai authorities under the CCSA, or the Center for COVID Administration in Bangkok. But in the past month, since the beginning of July, the government recognizes the role and the part of where we welcome foreigners in Thailand has always been part of the hospitality and the competitiveness industries of our nation. So since then, we have been welcoming certain limited number of groups of foreigners, nationals, including Australians and New Zealanders, back to the country in a systematic manner. We have currently allowed various groups of non-Thais to travel, such as non-Thais who are spouses with children of the Thai nationals and spouses, non-Thais who are permanent residents or have their immediate family members in Thailand, with proper legal documentation, diplomatic corps, international organization representatives, work permit holders, including businessmen and experts. So, or particularly in the, because Thailand is also known for our medical tourism, health tourism industry, we have also welcomed non-Thai nationals who wish to have their medical treatment in Thailand. So I think this is an important, again, step-by-step and systematic manner, so the foreign Thai nationals can apply for the certificate of entries into Thailand. And of course, this is something that we're doing and monitoring at the same time because we're doing this, allowing foreign nationals worldwide in a systematic manner, and also with different types of measures in place. But again, in the next few months, I think it's still quite unpredictable. I think we need to have a wait-and-see approach, because COVID-19 does not discriminate against anyone. You know, it can be widespread and from various causes at the moment, until we have a vaccine that can ensure us from and give us that immunity in the long run. I think we still have to be vigilant about how we go about our daily lives. But nevertheless, we are, of course, being able, with our systematic measures in place, to ensure that, particularly in traveling, perhaps we can work towards a travel bubble. Perhaps we can work with limited numbers of groups in safe travel zones in the near future. I think this is something along the way that we can work with our interested COVID-safe partners in the world and in the region, to ensure that visitors who come to our country are provided with the best medical, health, safety, and measures in place. So with that light, I think I would like to invite you and share with you a video. Bangkok is back as usual, to give you an idea of what has been happening in Thailand and what are the measures that have been in place to make sure that we deal with this situation properly, carefully.
Sawadee ka, I'm Sherly Handjojo, and I'm going to take you around Bangkok to see and get a feel of what the new normal is like. People are quite familiar and have adjusted to this new normal, so let's go and get a first-hand look. This is the Central Business District. Offices and companies are now open and it's business as usual. And wow, these look delicious. I've got to get myself some. อันนี้เท่าไหร่คะเนี่ย For various locations and public venues, the government has put in place safety procedures and preventive measures. Before entering such venues, everyone has to get their temperature checked and must check in and check out when entering and leaving the venues. This is all to keep tabs on how many people are within one location, ensuring that it is not overcrowded. So everyday life has pretty much returned to normal, or new normal that is, whereby we've got to not transmit the virus and also protect oneself as well. On public transportation, people are practicing social distancing. Malls and department stores open and busy once again. People are enjoying shopping and roaming around public places around the clock.
Please wear a mask.
Restaurants are now allowing people to dine in, so you can enjoy your meals with your family, friends and loved ones while complying with the guidelines. Hand sanitizer is a part of this new normal. It's ubiquitous and can be spotted everywhere, from shopping centers to restaurants. A night at Yawarad or Chinatown. Street food vendors have adapted to the new normal and people from all walks of life are back to savor the delicious delights.
It's almost like normal, like I don't really see much difference, which is really good because obviously 2 months of lockdown and then come back to this, it's fantastic.
I think it's a bit different to go out in Thailand now. but people don't have to be afraid to go out and enjoy with our friends. Of course, we have to wear your mask and be safe.
I think it's fantastic that we all have to wear masks, and you know, it's for a good cause, I guess, at the end of the day, so it's worth it.
I think it's quite amazing.
And that's the first-hand close-up look at what it's like in Bangkok right now. Although there are some changes to keep COVID-19 at bay, what remains unchanged is the charm of beautiful Bangkok.
Suladda, in the past couple of months during this quiet time, what kind of activities does TAT Oceania has been busy doing for the Australian market to prepare for the rebound of the tourism sector?
Yeah, thank you, Sherly. Actually, we have done a lot of online activities for our partners as well as direct to consumers. For example, in April, while in lockdown, we have done an online cooking class called Aroi at Home with Cha Thai. Aroi is a Thai word, means delicious. So you can cook delicious Thai food like pad Thai, Thai green curry at home. And for those who love exercising, we have Stay Fit in Self-Isolation with Muay Thai or Thai boxing class with one of the Thai boxing camps in Australia. And the other one, we have the Amazing Thailand Trivia Challenge, presenting questions on Thailand. And this had also been released in April and May. Now coming to our partners in travel and tourism industry, we also have the Amazing Thailand Specialist Program with 8 modules. Starting from the first one, what makes Thailand amazing? Then there are details and highlight tourism products on each region of Thailand, like Central Thailand, North and Northeastern Thailand, Eastern Thailand, Southern Thailand. And the last one is Discover Thai communities and local experiences. And I would like to encourage all of you in travel and tourism industry to join our specialist program to get certificate and gain more knowledge on Thailand. So please visit amazingthailandspecialist.com for registration. Another B2B platform that I'd like to introduce to you is called Thailand Tourism Virtual Market. This is a B2B platform where you can match your need with Thai suppliers. And currently there are 466 Thai sellers offering more than 300 deals and 341 buyers from around the world. So please click to virtualmart.tourismthailand.org for further information. And if I may add, Thailand has long been known for its amazing beaches, affordable luxuries, and our diversity. I think what really separates Thailand from other beach destinations are the friendly and welcoming people, unique culture, fabulous Thai food, health and wellness, and the incredible landscapes and natural beauty. And for you guys, as our partners, there might not be new booking now, but we would like you to be confident to suggest Thailand to your clients once the skies are open. As you can see from the previous video, Thailand takes health and safety measures very seriously. As we understand the importance of containing this virus is our first priority to keep everyone safe and sound. And we also make your consultant job easier as we have certified those tourism products and services with SHA certifications, which means they have passed very stringent criteria.
Thank you so much, Suladda, for sharing. What great initiatives there. I really like the fact that there's cooking classes, Muay Thai exercises, as well as the agent training, because as everyone know, during the lockdown, there pretty much that's it that we can do, while staying at home is, you cook, you exercise, and you upskill yourself to remain positive. So well done. So question for Ambassador, Excellency, before the pandemic, we all used to go to Thailand very often. for meetings or conferences. Is there anything that you miss from Thailand since the lockdown?
Well, as you mentioned, Shirley, that I've been here almost 6 months now, and I arrived just before the lockdown. And of course, there is, I think, as many of us here, the first thing when you think of when you're in another country or elsewhere, the first thing is you want to travel. But with the travel restrictions in place, I think it's all of us are in the lockdown, respecting the hygiene measures, health safety measures, social distancing, sanitizing, wearing a facial mask. It's something I think it's all for a good cause. But still, with the activities as outlined by Kun Suladda from the TAT Sydney office, we must make use of the time that we have in the new normal situation. So in the new normal situation, you're asking me, what do I miss about Thailand? It's exactly what was outlined in the previous video presentation. But it's good to see that people are adjusting. And that's, I think, one aspect that I think I'd like to point out about Thai society is about the resilience of the society, the cooperation that we have. And I think the nature of the Thai people that we want to ensure we provide you with the best hospitality. So we put in a lot of effort in terms of personnel training and various ways to keep our visitors safe. But I must tell you, I still miss the good street food cooking or dishes in Thailand, particularly what I saw in Yawarat. But that is okay because in Australia, you still have a very large number of Thai successful restaurants which cater from street food dishes, very good ones, authentic ones, because we are able to get the ingredients into Australia. But at the same time, you get top Michelin star restaurants in Australia as well. So I think that's a plus point. It's a matter of time where we can always go to restaurants in large groups, but I think all the measures are in place now to make sure that we are accessible to such restaurants and hotels with these types of arrangements. Secondly, you know, anytime we're working, even though we're working in closed doors, a good massage anywhere, it helps relieve your daily stress. That's also another good thing. You can, of course, find affordable massage, traditional massage in Thailand at various ranges. But that's also a plus point being in Australia because you have good spa and massage establishments by Thais who are well-trained, certified, and respecting the hygiene measures, social distancing measures in Australia as well. So I think that says a lot. Another point, because it's winter in Australia, of course you miss shopping in sunny Thailand. Going to just, you know, the weekends at the TAT market, open air markets is something that I do miss. But seeing all that is available, I think by visual presentation, by interactive webinars and seminars, it does help to better understand, and we can reflect on ourselves of what we can do to adjust our daily lives to still being able to enjoy what we have in life. And so these are some of the aspects that I think I missed about Thailand. What the TAT is doing is preparing all of us in the future, hopefully not too distant future, that we can travel again to your favorite places in Thailand. But at the moment for me is entertaining, looking at the video clips from TAT in making the simple cooking dishes that we can at home, and then showing our friends and entertaining at home is another way that we can also enjoy our lives during this COVID-19 in the so-called new normal situation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I couldn't agree with you more. Thai food, the Thai massage, as well as shopping are a couple of things that I really miss from the kingdom. Kun Suladda, a lot of our industry colleagues are very curious of what's gonna be the future trends for 2021. Surely everything has changed for the long term with the new normal. So for the Australian market, what do you see is going to be the trend traveling to Thailand for next year?
Yeah, first of all, I think I would agree with all the ambassador has mentioned regarding Thailand. So I miss all of that too, and I think it would be in compliance with the trend next year. So I think health and wellness will be our first priority. This is as a result of the pandemic. People would love to travel to transform their lives, their mind, their body, and as well as their soul. And the next one would be family travel. And this has always been the big segment as well as the multi-generational family holidays. Next one, I think you would all agree with me, the gastronomy. I think Australian has always been quite adventurous with their taste buds, and Thai food is long known as Aussie favorite. And Thailand has lots to offer, from street food, fine dining restaurants to rooftop bar with spectacular view. The next one would be soft adventures. Travelers are eager to learn new skills, whether it is a sport like Muay Thai or Thai boxing. Soft adventures like biking, rafting, diving, or rock climbing. And these adventurous activities are going to play a part of living for your life to the fullest. And last but not least, I think this is going to be a very important trend. Responsible tourism and volunteerism, giving back to the needy is going to be a trend. And learning to live side by side with the nature is what we are searching for. And I think all this is going to be the trend for next year.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Kun Suladda. So we've come to the wrap up of the presentation. We really hope that you find this session very beneficial, that you have a better understanding on what's happening in the land of smiles now. The COVID-19 cases have remained very low for a few months now, as both Thai government and private sectors work really hard to lower the numbers, as well as up the health and safety measures. And of course, the Amazing Thailand Specialist is our new online course for travel agents to update themselves with Thai new normals as well as new products. So we haven't got too much time, but I can go through a few questions that has come in. The first one is for Kun Suladda. From what you see happening now, when do you think travel will resume between Australia and Thailand?
All right, thank you for the question. I think this is $1 million question, but anyway, I think it depends on how soon the virus can be contained, because we have to be vigilant with the spread of the virus. But once it's contained, I would say it would take around a couple of months in order to get everything in place. So let's say if everything is back by the end of the year, then maybe next year or early next year, we can start traveling between Australia and Thailand.
Let's all pray for that, because I think we're all feeling a little bit isolated at the moment, and we're all missing travel so much. So yeah, we're hoping for a better and quicker turnaround on that. So for the ambassador, there's a question for Your Excellency. At the moment, Thailand is very much protecting their borders. So for foreigners, only very selected groups are allowed to enter the kingdom, and they must do a 14-day quarantine. Could you please share with us what kind of procedures Thailand has at the moment with entering the country and the quarantine?
As I mentioned, we have the government has opened up opportunities for different but limited groups of non-Thai nationals or foreigners to travel to Thailand. The groups, as I outlined in the beginning, whether it be non-Thai nationals, diplomats, representatives of international organizations, those with spouses or children in Thailand, and students, and of course work permit holders, experts, and of course those needing medical treatment in Thailand. If you wish to obtain or to travel to Thailand and you are in the specific groups which I have mentioned, you need to contact the embassy at our website of canberra.thaiembassy.org in order to obtain a certificate of entry into Thailand. And in order to obtain that certificate of entry, the COE, you need to access our website. We have one banner that caters to this application. In addition to the application for an COE, the applicant will need a visa if that is applicable for you, and you need to be quarantined for 14 days when you arrive in Thailand. There is a system of registering and making reservations for your own quarantine facilities. It's called the Alternative State Quarantine, or the ASQ, which you can browse through the website, which is hsscovid.com. And these are high, various hotels, accommodations at various range of prices that will provide you with the best facilities, health protection, that you won't even feel that you're in quarantine because of the facilities and the amenities that are provided in these places. And you can make their own reservations. And you will also need certificates, meaning a health certificate, a fit to fly document, and also health insurance before you are able to travel to Thailand. So all this is available on our website. And you can either, as I mentioned, check in at our website, canberra.thaiembassy.org, or you can also post inbox in our messenger, Facebook, Royal Thai Embassy Canberra, or the Royal Thai Consulate General in Sydney. And you can also contact us by 24 hours hotline number, which is +61 402 735 642, +61 429 597 191, line ID CBR Consular, or Twitter at RTE Canberra. All these are the available channels of communication. And of course, I'm sure the TAT office in Sydney will be readily assisting you with any queries that you may have. So I think this is what I'd like to inform you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we just have one more question just popped up for Your Excellency. What sort of entry requirements into Thailand for Australian travelers if both sides are open up?
I think this will, of course, entail careful preparations, planning in the near future. As I mentioned, we have to ensure that the containment of virus is effective. And I think this is what the international community is doing in the relevant frameworks and the relevant fields of health experts. So we have to, it's a joint effort. It's international collaboration, and bilaterally also Thailand and Australia are working very closely on this to ensure that we have best practices, that we're sharing our experiences to control this virus. And I think, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, we are also resorting to various ways to ensure that there will be a vaccine available that is accessible to all groups of people. And I think this is something that needs to be stressed. You can say that it's probably within the realm of the medical health experts or the science and research, but I think this is one guarantee that this will be a safe method for us in the long run to be able to travel freely and safely as in the pre-COVID-19 situation. Until we do, we will continue to work together, and I think the steps that we are beginning to see is to ensure limited small number of groups of people to travel to our country. Of course, for Australia, there is it's a standard procedure and a policy that you are not allowing any foreigners or international travelers to your country, which is understandable, to ensure, I think, like all other countries, the protection and priority to ensure the health and safety of your own population. So I think we all need to work together. Everyone has a part to play in the relevant industries. Until we do, please do remain safe, healthy, keep fit, social distance, your sanitizing of your hands, and remaining, just being cautious of where you are and how you go about your daily lives and traveling. I think this, if we all do this together, we will be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel where we can travel to each other's countries freely and safely.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I do apologize that we don't have the time to go through all the questions today, but please feel free to send your questions to info@thailand.net.au. Now we've come to the end of the presentation with a quiz. So the question we have today is, what is Thailand's new certification that's created to boost the nation's safety and health standard? Please email your answer to info@thailand.net.au, and to qualify for our prize today, you must complete all modules on amazingthailandspecialist.com. That's it that we have today. So for those of you wanting to learn more about the new trends for 2021, our next session of the webinar is about gastronomy. Please join us next week, same day, Friday at 11 a.m. Sydney time. Will be joining us our executive chefs from Banyan Tree Hotel and Lebua Sirocco. A big thank you for our ambassador, Her Excellency Busadee Santipitaks, Khap Kun Ka, and Kun Suladda Sarutilavan. Very much thank you for joining me today. Thanks so much for all participants, and we hope you really enjoyed the session. Please also feel free to give us feedback through the poll that you will see on your screen. And we hope to see you all next week. Stay safe, and most importantly, stay positive. Thank you.